There was a time where everyone kept their ideas to themselves. No plant would share any of their stuff with another plant. But now they're happy to share their successes and challenges.
This is the Energy Manager's Playbook from Save on Energy, a podcast empowering Ontario energy managers to find success at work. I'm your host, Jay Mullin. In this episode, translating an ambitious vision into action on the ground. Magna International have about 140 manufacturing facilities in North America alone, making them one of the biggest companies in Canada. If you have a car, you probably own some of their products. Plastic bumpers, welded chassis, powertrains, you name it, they make it.
I actually started at Magna as a designer and project manager for some of our new buildings. But when the recession hit in 2008 and we weren't building any new plants, I brought up the idea to management about having a role where someone can oversee and assist plants in saving money through energy. I mean, the amount of energy we use is one of the costs that we can control, and it just took off from there.
Senka Donches is the manager of Energy Efficiencies in Canada and the USA for Magna International. And when it comes to energy efficiency, Magna has emerged as a global leader.
We achieved 5% year-over-year energy savings from projects alone in the last couple of years. This year, each plant needs to achieve a 4% energy reduction from projects from a baseline of 2023.
So that's pretty impressive in covering a lot of facilities. How do you keep them on track or measure that progress across all the facilities that Magna has?
We have a system in place. It's called MAFACT. It stands for Magna Factory Concept. And it's like a scorecard where all our plants are scored on everything from management, health and safety, environmental quality, manufacturing excellence, and so forth. And there's a section in management portion that's dedicated to energy savings. So scores are from 1 to 5, with 5 being considered world-class. And within each score, you have 4 to 5 questions that need to be satisfied before you can advance to the next score. And one of the questions in score 1 is that you need to have an energy champion in place and an energy team that meets monthly. So I think that was key to getting started with all this, that every plant needed to have an energy champion and energy team in place.
So what were some of those early projects that the plants worked on to start saving energy?
We focused on the low-lying fruit, compressed air leaks, biggest waste of money in every plant. That's something we put a lot of focus on. Showed some results from what other plants saved. One of the requirements in MAFACT is that they have to do an air leak audit every year and to repair all the leaks. So hitting on the low-lying fruits, showing savings, being able to now move forward and do other projects.
Okay. So they need to have certain components around energy management to get the MAFACT scores.
Yeah, so each sub-question within the 5 scores is directly related to doing something that saves energy. Just as an example, some questions are, do you have startup and shutdown procedures in place? Is there energy monitoring system in place? Are you meeting your year-to-date goals and so forth? So it encourages them to do their projects. We have some that score low, some that score high. It varies drastically. So this year and last year, the goal was to achieve a score of 4 at minimum. And we had a handful of plants that achieved a 5, a lot of 4s, but we still had some that scored just a 2.
I'm curious if you have an example of what it looked like for a facility that was doing really well and getting a high score versus ones that were maybe struggling a little bit.
Well, the plants who have dedicated energy management with dedicated energy champions were the plants that had the most success. Plants that struggled were the ones who did not have much management support and didn't have the right people in place. So some of our smaller plants, I would say, they might have an HR manager as their energy champion who's probably not the right person to be in that position. We prefer to have somebody in maintenance or facilities. So those are just some of the struggles that the plants that don't achieve a higher score have.
And as the person responsible for this across the plants and facilities, what steps did you start to take to address those discrepancies?
I started to give more one-on-one support to those who are struggling. With any new champions, we do have a whole onboarding program that they go through, just so they're more aware of how the reporting goes and what to look for in the plants. Letting them start with zero-cost projects to start to get some traction. I also hold in-person idea sharing sessions where attendance is a requirement of MAFACT. Here they can listen to the struggles and successes of other plants. We also have an energy SharePoint site where we can share case studies of projects other plants have done. There's over 50 different case studies in our library that they can refer to get ideas.
What does it look like from facilities doing their own projects, their own investigations, getting up to those case studies? How are those used?
So to get a 4 score, you have to submit a case study from a project you've done. Once these case studies are submitted to us, we verify the data and we send it out to all our energy champions so that they have it readily available to them to look at. And if it's something that can be done at their plant, hopefully they'll take that case study as a benchmark and use it at their plant.
And is there any process of, like, if you see a number of case studies or projects being implemented across a number of facilities, is there any next step in terms of standardizing that or making a stronger recommendation?
Well, one of the things that we stipulate in score 5
Mhm.
is they have to review all the zero cost case studies and identify whether or not that case study is doable at their plant.
Mm.
So it encourages them to go through all the case studies and validate whether or not that case study can be performed at their plant as well. And we have probably about 40 zero cost case studies in our library.
Okay, so it's not just that they're available as a reference, but they have to go through those and almost justify why they're not doing those.
Correct, especially with the zero cost ones.
So those insight in-person visits, walk me through what one of those looks like.
These are in-person events hosted by one of our plants, and the plans change year to year or session to session. I hold 2 sessions in Q2 and 2 sessions in Q4, so it gives them a lot of opportunity to participate. Champions are required to attend at least 2 as per MathFact. This is a full-day event. I start off with updates from Magna, go over some of our dashboards and reports, and then I open it up to the team. So I'll throw out a topic, for example, metering and monitoring, and then we go around the room and get everyone's comments, struggles, successes. Once the discussion starts, it just keeps going as people bring up other topics. It's a great way for the champions to meet each other and build on sharing, even outside of these sessions. After lunch, we go through the host plant and perform a treasure hunt, which is also a MathFact requirement.
Okay. And have you found that these resources that you're providing them, the information sharing, has that made a difference and influenced their energy performance?
Oh, I really believe it has made a huge impact on energy efficiency improvements. I have some champions say that they have done everything that they could and realize after listening to the other ideas that they have so much more to do. Metering and monitoring is a big one these days because we have some plants that have over 500 meters in place. And when they start showing their results at these meetings and seminars, it really opens the eyes of the other plants how important metering is,
Right.
especially when you talk about shutdown procedures. And with these meters in place, you can really tell what's not been shut down during weekends or holiday shutdowns.
And it sounds like a really great amount of collaboration that's being fostered between these facilities and sharing that information around different energy efficiency opportunities. Was that enough to sort of help facilities come up, or are there still other challenges that they were facing?
I think it solves a lot of the barriers as there's more and more emphasis on energy efficiency along with all of Magna's goals. But I think there will always be some barriers. A lot of my champions are facilities or maintenance managers and are pulled in every which direction. So sometimes it's difficult for them to have time to look into and implement new projects. I think more GMs are realizing the amount of work required to achieve the goals and are putting more support in place.
Was there anything that you did to help or try to engage like the general managers at the facilities to provide more support to these efforts?
One of the things that we implemented in the new Math Fact is that the GM or AGM needs to attend at least one meeting per quarter. For plants that are underperforming or struggling, I reach out to the GMs personally and I show them some of their data just so that they're aware where they stand. And a lot of times that's an eye opener for them. And within our dashboards, they're able to see everybody else's data as well. So it's not just restricted to their own data. They're able to see their similar plants or similar processes and how those plants are doing.
Okay, so they all have that sort of motivation or that alignment between the different groups.
Yeah.
As these initiatives started to take hold and you're engaging the general managers and the energy champions, did you notice a shift in how facilities approached energy projects?
For the most part, yeah. But we always need to remember that we are in the business of making parts, and that's usually the priority, especially with the economy the way it is right now. You need to save every penny you can. And there's a lot of places we can't. We have no control over cost of materials. We have no control over cost of labor, but we do have control of how we use our energy and how we can save. So that's always a key element as well. That's something we can control. And yes, manufacturing and producing parts is key, but I think the energy savings portion of it is a close second.
Was there any point in particular that you thought was like a turning point where this approach was making a real impact and that gap between the ones that were doing well and the ones that weren't doing so well started to narrow down?
I would say it was different for each plant. Some realized the savings years ago and continued with the saving initiatives. And others, it was when we published our net zero goals and our Magna reduction goals. So there are some plants that have been doing well for a very long time. And there's some plants who are just now starting to really realize the potential of savings. We reached our 5% reduction goals for 2023 and 2024 just from energy savings projects. We have plants whose MAFAC scores have increased year over year, and definitely more engagement than we've ever had before.
And how are these efforts changing, or what are you doing to encourage further progress to sort of keep it from being, all right, we did those, we're done
Yeah,
now?
that was a great question. We just rewrote the MAFAC, and now it's even harder to get a 5 score. It really challenges the plants to be creative and use the tools we have for them, such as the case studies, the benchmarking sessions, the seminar series, etc. This year, we also have an emphasis on metering and monitoring. Like I said, you can't manage what you don't measure, as well as each plant needs to do an air balance study this year.
Okay, so those requirements are keep increasing. So there's this continuous improvement process built into it.
Yeah, we just keep pushing the envelope a little bit more.
And you mentioned as well that one of the requirements is that plants do an air balance study.
Well, we recognized that a lot of our plants were over-exhausting, over-ventilating, temperatures were too high, and that was a lot of gas savings for us.
So I think this has been really impressive progress that you've described. And given that focus on the continuous improvement, what do you see as next in terms of energy management at Magna?
I would say implementing AI to assist in finding savings. That's going to be the way of the future. You need to start investigating it or implement an AI to get a 5 score.
Oh, okay. So they're actually having to look into applications for it.
Absolutely.
Have any of those moved forward? Like, have there been any good applications of it identified?
Well, we have one in Europe right now, but that's something we're rolling out more and more, getting people more aware of what they can do. Weather, for instance, predicting weather so you know how to set your temperatures for your HVAC system. Just that would be the easiest one is weather prediction.
Oh, okay. So using AI to help manage HVAC controls in response to weather?
Exactly.
I think this has been a really great example of we often find energy managers feel siloed in their organizations. And I love how this approach not only provides the information and support, but also that connection to those other energy champions in different facilities. Would you have any advice for energy managers who find themselves in that situation where they're working away, but maybe there's inconsistent progress across their organization, how they might start trying to address that?
I would say that it needs to come from their upper management. If you don't have the upper management support, you're getting no support. So I would say that upper management needs to set goals, and these goals need to be tracked and monitored and reported out. Being able to visually see results on dashboard is a real eye-opener. Also, for somebody who's starting out, reach out to your utilities. Incentives can help put projects through by bringing down the ROIs. Invite your utility reps to your meetings. They have great energy savings ideas as well. Reach out to other energy champions and see what they're doing. Attend these sessions. There's a lot of different ways that you can help that they can get started and get help from outside of their plant.
How do you feel like having built that infrastructure? Like I've been to one of those meetings and I've worked with a bunch of those energy champions and seen the impact of some of that support from their side of things. How do you feel seeing that in place?
I'm thrilled. Like I've started this a long time ago. Mind you, when I did it a long time ago, I was doing it globally. So the fact that I'm just doing Canada, USA now gives me more time to engage directly with the energy champions.
Mm.
Nobody used to want to share any information. And these benchmarking sessions have really opened up, allowing them to meet each other, and then they communicate each other outside of these sessions now. So I think it's just been moving along fabulously. I'm proud. I think Magna's got one of the best energy programs in place.
It's really common to hear about energy managers struggling to make progress because there isn't a strong commitment from leadership. That commitment is critical to success. But Senka's story shows that sometimes that commitment isn't enough on its own. That commitment still needs to be translated into action, making sure people know what opportunities are available, how to find them, and how to act on them. And even that's not enough if there isn't alignment all the way through the organization, from top to bottom. All of that takes effort, but Senka's story shows how goals become real, measurable results when there's the right support, engaged leadership, and proper alignment. Thank you to Senka Donches and Magna International. That's it for this episode. As always, I'd love to hear about what challenges and victories you've faced in your energy management career. You can email me. Just find the address in the show notes to this episode. And while you're there, tap the link to the Save on Energy website. There, you can learn more on how to improve your energy management practices. I'm Jay Mullin, and this has been the Energy Manager's Playbook, a podcast from Save on Energy.